Hey everyone, so today we're going to go over how to pull engagement rate by day of the week from Google Analytics, and it is going to require some use of Excel as well, and I'll explain that in a few minutes here. In this particular case, this client would like to know which days of the week they get more engagement or less engagement on their website, and as of June of 2024, Google Analytics 4 does not allow us to pull day of week data directly like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that type of thing. So we have a workaround we're going to show you right now. We're going to go ahead and create an Explorer report, which is like a custom report in Google Analytics 4. So click on Explorer on the left, click on blank to get a new one, and then we want to type in, we're going to call this engagement rate by day of week, give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and pull 90 days worth of data to give us a nice chunk of data. In terms of dimensions I'm going to go ahead and add the date dimension. I'll do that right here. And I'm also going to add the metrics wise, I'm going to add some sessions data here. I'm going to add both engaged sessions and total sessions. Import on the upper right. Okay, and then just like a pivot table in Excel, you're going to pull for the rows right here, you want to pull the date. And then down here on the metrics, down here, or values I should say, you want to pull the metrics in. So pull in engaged sessions and sessions. Either order is fine. Whichever one comes first is totally fine. And we want to go ahead and show all 100 rows because we have 90 days worth of data here. So there's our data. We can kind of verify we have 90 days worth. Very good. So now let's pull this into Excel. So we're going to click on download at the upper right up here. And I like to save it as a CSV file. Now that just now downloaded it to my Windows environment. If you have a Mac, it should be the same thing, or Linux. I'm going to pause and then pull up the Excel file. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open that CSV file. I saved it as an Excel file. In this case, you don't have to save it as Excel, but that helps you preserve certain features that CSV files will not preserve. So I prefer to save it as an Excel file. And now let's clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these first few rows here. I'd highlight them and delete them. I'm going to expand this a little bit more. I'm also going to get rid of the grand totals. Actually, I like to clean this up, so I'm going to center everything. This is just my personal preference. I like to have things nice and neat. So I'm going to freeze the first row there. I'm going to go ahead and delete this total column here for right now. So the first thing I want to do is scroll down and make sure I get all 90. Looks like I do. First thing I want to do is I want to convert this to a date. Now this in Excel, you could just, in some circumstances, you can just highlight it, select date, and then designate as a date. But in this case, it gives us this wonky result because it's not in a format that Excel recognizes. So I'm going to undo that. And we're going to go ahead and create our date manually here. So I'm actually going to insert 4 new columns here. And there's probably more than one way to do this. This is how I prefer to do it. If you have another way, feel free to leave a comment in the comment box there. But I'm going to go ahead and put the year, month, day, and then I'm going to put a new date here. This is going to be the one we're going to end up using. So we're going to use a formula that pulls characters out of a certain column. So in this case, for the year, I want to pull the left foremost characters from A2. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and just drag this formula across here, but I'm going to change some of these. So on this one, I want to go ahead and let's go with the day next. That's easy. So I'm going to pull the right hand 2 characters. So this is the cell reference, and how many characters do you want from the right? So that gives us the day. Now, the month's a little trickier. You can do this in different ways. I'm going to go ahead and take 6 characters from the left, and I'm going to take the 2 most right characters of those. So I'm doing an embedded formula here, right? And then we'll go like this, and then go take those 2. That gives us what we want. So if that didn't make sense to you, that's okay. Watch this video again for that part. But essentially, you're pulling certain characters out of that string. And then I'm also going to combine these together, and I'll show you that right now. So I'm going to go, the date format in North America is month first, so we go month. Now I'm going to concatenate these together, which is using ampersand like this, adding in a slash, and then I want to also add in so month, day, and then we'll do year last. And I'm going to add in this again, and I'm going to go like that. Let's see if that worked. Yep, looks good. So that's how we want it, and then I'll explain one more thing here. So I'll go ahead and, if you highlight this, a little trick is if you double click this lower right quadrant here, you'll see it automatically copies this all the way down for us. So that's all, there we go. Now, last thing we want to do is, this is still a formula, so let's save all these as values. So I'm going to go Control C on my computer, or you can right click and copy if you want. Right here, and then I'm going to right click and paste as values. What that does, it saves everything as it's no longer a formula now, it's actually a value. And then I'm going to go ahead and just delete. I'm going to double check my work. Looks like this is correct. Looks like this was supposed to be April 9, 2024, and that's what that is right there. So I'm going to now delete these columns that I don't need. And let's just make sure this is being treated as a date. So this time I'm going to right click again, Format Cells, Date, and let's just double check that Excel thinks this is a date. I'm going to go ahead and just do a test here, right? I just do a +1 to see if it increments it by 1 day. So that +1. Okay, notice that went to April 24th. So that tells me this is legitimately being considered as a date in Excel. So we've checked our work. Now before we calculate the engagement rate by day, we do need to have a day of week designation here. So we're going to go like this. I'm going to call it day of week, and I'm going to reference this cell, and then I'm going to say, actually I'm going to go like this, and then say text. I'm going to go A2, and I'm going to go DDDD, and that gives me the day of week. So it's just literally converting that date to a day of week. So that's pretty convenient there. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort these by date before I do anything else. So I'm going to sort them by that column, new date right there. Okay, and it looks like it sorts it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This client runs their traffic 7 days a week, so we're going to get a complete set of days. Now, I could kind of be a purist and say, well, I really only want a multiple of 7. So 7 is not divided into 90 equally. So if I want to really be right, I want to go Monday through Sunday, which would be like right here. And that should be, I think, 84. Yeah. So that what I'm doing here, for those of you that what I just did doesn't make sense. I'm basically wanting exactly 7 days. I want the same number of Mondays, the same number of Tuesdays, the same number of Wednesdays. And so right now it's not like that because it only goes to, if it stops short of that because it's not divisible by 7. So what I did is I'm just going to delete the last 6 rows here. And so now if you look at this, I have a Saturday or a Monday through a Sunday, which means I have an equal number of each day of the week. And if you aren't quite sure, look at the bottom right how it says count 84. That's divisible by 7, and that means that we have an equal number of days, equal number of each type of day a week. That just, you don't have to take that extra step, but it makes the data just slightly more accurate because you're aggregating the same data over the same number of days. So last thing we want to do is I want to use a pivot table to combine these into a single figure, so I know all the Mondays are together, all the Tuesdays are together. Okay, so I'm going to go Insert, Pivot Table, click on OK. It'll create a new worksheet with a pivot table in it. I'm going to pull the day of week over here on the left. I'm going to pull in sessions, and I'll put engaged sessions right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the blank there. I'm going to highlight all of these, Control C for copy, right click, paste special, that saves those as values. And we're just going to go like this. And we're just going to call that day of week again. I'm just going to call this engaged and total sessions. I'm going to create a new column that's going to be our formula. This is called engagement rate. You don't have to take this step, but I like to see the numbers with commas. So I'm going to go like that. And then we're just going to take and calculate the engagement rate. So engaged divided by total. That's the engagement rate. And that gives us a good sense for what that engagement rate is. You can see it varies. You can add some color to it if you want by going to conditional formatting, color scales, and you can kind of see now. I prefer to see this as an index 100. So what I mean by that is I'm going to convert it to an index, okay? And that'll make sense in a second. So I'm going to call that engagement rate index because it gives me a better sense of the relative engagement rate. So to do that, I take this divided by the average, which is down here, and I'm going to go ahead and insert a little string that holds it consistent. So I inserted this little string here to allow me to easily copy this over. So I go like this, and then I'm going to go, I want to make this, I'm going to normalize this to, oops, like that, okay? And then I also want to, I want it to be a nice clear number, so I'm going to round it to 0. Some of these skills are more advanced, or not advanced, but it might be going a little fast for some of you, but just watch this again if that didn't make sense. I'm trying to make this applicable to all different Excel levels here. And then, so there's our engagement rate. It's pretty consistent across the board, but there's a slight difference here. And so now I'm going to save this as a value as well, and it's no longer a formula. And then lastly, I'm going to, again, convert this to, I want to show this as color scales here. Gives me a sense of which days. So like, looks like Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays have a slightly higher engagement rate. Last thing you might want to do is just convert this into a graph. It might be interesting also to show the total visits by day as well. So I'm going to create a second graph by just copying that first one over. I should say a second table, I should say. I'm going to go ahead and delete these figures. Right now I just want to get a total visits or total sessions. And so to do that, I'm going to call this, I'm going to make this one, see, it's this relative session index. I'm going to also see just day of week wise. Now this one, to do an index, I actually have to create the average. So I'm going to go like this, average like those right there. And then same thing with the index, is you go like this, that one divided by the total, insert the string there, and then you can do these times 100. And then it's already done the rounding for us, but just in case, I'm going to go ahead and round it. Okay. So this one is going to show us the relative index. So notice the index on both of these is 100. By definition, the overall will be 100. But you can see number of sessions wise, there's quite a variation here. We actually don't need to include this in the, no, we don't mind, that's fine. So go like this, and then color scales. Okay, so now we have a relative number of index. In other words, how many people actually come to the website, and then among those, what is their engagement rate? So Mondays not only have the most people, or most sessions I should say, but also have the highest engagement rate. Saturday dips off quite a bit in terms of a number of sessions, and Sunday especially, but engagement rates are not quite as low, as they don't dip as much. So the last thing I want to do is create this into two little charts here. So I'm going to go like this, insert, and you can kind of see how that looks pretty cool. I prefer this black background, but you can do whatever background you like. And I'm going to call, say this by day of week. So you can see their engagement rates, and then we're going to do the same thing over here with this total sessions index. And go like that. I'm going to change the colors to make it a little more interesting looking. Maybe make it like orange. I'm going to also say by day of week. And then we're going to, oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. Undo. Click on add data labels. There you go. And you can pull these into a report. And now you have some pretty good data for day of week over the last 90 days. Sometimes in the chart title, you might want to also put the date range. Depends on how formal or informal your analysis is. Anyway, I hope this helps. Good luck.